Hey everyone, this is Jeffrey with NetTuts. In today's video quick tip, we're going to be going over workflows and how you can take repetitive tasks and turn them into one keystroke. And it'll save you a lot of time, especially over the course of a year. So there's a handful of tools you can use, whether it's something simple like Text Expander or Texter, or a code management tool like Snippets. You can see here this is where you can manage common snippets that you need to reuse, and then you can pull those up whenever you want to. But what about when you need more actions? You need repeated actions. For example, if you want to click in a certain area or type a specific keystroke or something like that. In that case, you need to use something a bit different. So we're going to be looking at mostly Keyboard Maestro, but if you're a PC user, you can look at AutoHotkeys. Very popular, it's free. And then this other one I've heard great things about as well, AutoIt or AutoIT. So I'm a Mac user, I'm going to be using this one. It's not free, but you do get, I think, like a month trial, so you can try that out. And I'm going to show you how to integrate it into your normal workflow to make things a lot quicker. So let's go into a Coda and we have a empty HTML file. And I'll show you here that here's some example scripts that I've created for us. So let's say we have this hello world, and this is your project here. And if you want to preview it, you could try to search through it, especially if you're going from different editors. You could maybe find view and preview in and click one of these. But sometimes it's easier just to type. That way your hand never has to touch the mouse. So for in this case, I can type prev Chrome. And what that's going to do is it opens it up in Chrome. Very helpful. And you see it gets rid of that text. Or if I forget it, I have this floating palette, and I can do the same thing where I type it. And that's all available because of Keyboard Maestro. Same thing with Firefox, prefff. That'll delete the text and it'll preview the project within Firefox, as you can see right there. So that can be really helpful. But you can do a lot of cool things, whether it's something as simple as duplicate a line, or you could delete till end of the line. So if maybe you're coming from a program like Vim and you're used to maybe pressing capital C to delete until the end of the line, you can do the same thing here by pressing Control C, and that's going to do the same effect. If you want to surround with, let's say I want surround with, I can use, assuming I have T for Coda installed, I can do surround with and type what I want. What's nice about this palette is that it's floating, so you can hide and show it whenever you wish, and it's simply a helper, so you can still type the normal keystrokes, or if you forget them, you can come here to this palette and use that instead. So let's look at some other ones. Let's say this is a CSS file, and we have, we'll do some base styling. Margins, auto, position is relative, and we'll say top is 50. Now assume you have a full style sheet and you want to minify it. Well, there are some plugins, or you could do it on the back end, or maybe you go into Chrome and maybe you go to a site like cssdrive.com in order to do it. Many people do that. Well, that takes a lot of steps. You got to open your browser, you have to find the website, you have to paste in the code, you have to compress it, then get the code out of it, and then come back and replace it. All of that takes up time, when instead, if I want, here I can do minify CSS. That grabs it, it comes in, loads the page. Now you can see here, it's not automated. What it's doing is it's just repeating the actions that I've done here. So it'll take maybe 5 seconds or so, but it's an easy way if you do something over and over and over to save you a lot of time. Let's say I'm doing JavaScript, var.js equals something. Hello is world. So we get that. Same thing again. I can just do, assuming I don't have a plugin already installed, which I do, I could do minify JS. And this is going to open up a JS compress site, paste that in, it'll compress it, it grabs the code, comes back, so it's like having a robot come and help you. Let's see what else. I'll show you one more. What else would be kind of cool? How about if I'm working in CodeIgniter and I want a new project? So if you're not doing it from the terminal, you might have to go to codeigniter.com, download the latest version, and then unzip it, and then move it into your htdocs folder. That all takes a lot of time. In this case, I can do new CI project. What that's going to do is it's going to go into terminal. It's using wget to download the latest version. It then moves the file into my htdocs folder, and then it opens that folder for me. And then at that point, all I have to do is drag it in, and I have a fresh installation of CodeIgniter waiting to go. What else could you do? Let's say new WordPress project. Again, that's going to do the same thing. And then it has a fresh installation. I just bring that in, and look how quick that is. And I'm all set to get go, and I didn't have to do anything else. It's a matter of typing about 10 keystrokes. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do some of these, and this should be available in most Automator programs. It's just a matter of which one you like the best. So if we go into Keyboard Maestro, you can see on this particular computer, I have a handful of folders set up, but nothing too great. So you can see here for working with NetTuts, I have simple things, and you can see here it just executes actions. Things that I type over and over and over. This saves me a lot of time. Let's go into HTML, and you can have even simple things, like if you want to wrap 3 lines of text. Let's go back in. I'll paste in some lorem text. And let's say I want to wrap this. Well, I could do it normally, like this. But that takes time. Or I could write P3, and that's going to wrap it within 3 lines. So it's not too flexible because it's assuming the paragraph is 3 lines long, but if you wanted, you could do P1, P2, P3, P4, change 3 words. Let's go back. Here's some stuff we have for Coda. So you want preview in Chrome. I'll show you how to do that. This is one of the easy ones. So we'll delete this one entirely and do it from scratch. So I have my folder, and what's nice about this is when you have your groups, you can specify where they're enabled. So in this case, I'm saying Coda. It's going to be available only within Coda. And I've also specified that we're showing a palette. And what that does is within the program, only when the program is open, a palette will show. So let's save that, close it out, and notice how that palette disappeared. If I open it back up again, you'll see that that palette shows up again. So we'll create a new one. I'll click here, plus, and we'll say preview in Chrome. So now at this point I have a trigger, and I can say, all right, do I want it to be a hotkey like Control-Shift-M, or do I want it a type string, or do we want to add a special, maybe a macro palette or something like that? Generally, you're going to use one of these top 2. So in this case, we're going to type string, and we want it to be prev Chrome. So notice here that it automatically checks this. So whenever you type this keystroke, by default, it's automatically going to delete everything you typed. Okay, cool. So now at this point, you can begin adding your actions, and you can do it manually. Like if you're a Mac user, by default, a program called Automator is installed, but it's a little more difficult to use. So I think Keyboard Maestro is a little more friendly. So you can pause, you can use iTunes controls, interface controls to click a mouse or choose a menu item. But what's really nice is you can press record, and it'll just remember everything you do. So I'll hit record, go into Coda, view, preview in Chrome, and now we're done. So I can go back and press record, and now we're done recording our little macro. A couple things here though, we don't need to click the mouse, and we don't need to move to Coda because we'll already be in there. And then activate, we can get rid of those as well. So all we need to do is when I type prev Chrome is we're going to go into the view menu, preview in Chrome. All right, and that's it. So let's try it out. Let's go back into Coda, and I'm going to type prev Chrome. And there we go. Really easy. You don't have to memorize anything because you're just typing text. It's really easy to use. All right, let's go back and try something a little bit harder. Why don't we do, what else? Vendor prefixes. This is a helpful one. So you know when you're writing your CSS, if you have maybe box shadow, you have to do Moz box shadow, WebKit box shadow, and then the regular form. So wouldn't it be nicer if we could just do box shadow, and then do X offset, Y offset, blur, color? We can just type a shortcut. So I can either come to my palette and choose vendor prefixes, or I have it saved to VCSS. And now that's done for me, and I can continue on, and I only have to worry about the official W3 recommended version rather than having to repeatedly write these vendor prefixes. So let's build this one on our own as well. So I'll delete that, and we're going to create a new one. Vendor prefix CSS. So that's our label, but the actual trigger is going to be a type string of VCSS. Now you want to be careful of when you're using type strings because you may type it in your everyday typing. So what I usually do is add space after it. That way there's no possible way that key sequence would be typed unless I am trying to trigger that. Okay, so let's go. New action. Let's go ahead and record. And I prefer just to do it directly in it. So we'll go in here and then we'll say Shift Command left, and we're going to copy all of this. So I copy it, and then I go to the beginning, and now I'm going to go up, type Moz, paste it in, go back, type up. So you're pretty much what you would do in your normal. And now we're done. So I'm going to go down and press enter, and that's it. So what you would do when you're normally coding, you're simply recording it so you don't have to do it over and over. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you, it's going to do it as quickly as possible. So when you're done recording, make sure you go back and fix everything. Like here, we don't need those. So just take a look over here, make sure everything's okay. If you go back to Keyboard Maestro before you unclick record, make sure you get rid of that. All right, looks good to me. So let's try it out. So we have box shadow, type VCSS, space, space, and that's done for me. Really easy. Let's do another one, see if it works. Border radius. And we'll say 5 pixels. VCSS. And now that's been done for us, and it places the cursor where we need it to be. Okay, let's just do a couple more. Let's take a look at the Structure app that we offered for download. It's just a very helpful app. You can get it on NetTouch here. It's a simple app that you can build a file structure here, and many people noted it would be nice if there were templates. So maybe you could have a drop down for WordPress and it would build your base structure. So though that's being added to the next version of Structure, we can mimic that very easily with a program like this. So let's try it out. Let's go back into Keyboard Maestro. And this isn't going to be Coda, so I'm going to go into my web dev. And you can see I have one right here, WordPress theme, and that's everything that it types. But we'll do another one, and we'll call it new WordPress file structure. And I want the trigger to be type string, and we'll say new WordPress theme. So when you type that, by default, it's immediately going to delete those characters, and then we need to record our action. So we begin by first opening up Structure. So first we need to add our folder name. So I'm going to press right, and we'll call this new theme. All right, now I'm going to press tab, and here I'll just begin typing out what you would need for a new WordPress site, like index.php, page.php, single.php, archive.php, functions.php, style.css, and then we'll also add our JS folder, an IMG folder, a CSS folder. And there's so many WordPress files, but let's say that's enough for a beginning site. Now I'm either going to click Create or press Command Enter, and now we're done. So let's come back, press Record, and if we go back to my desktop, you'll see that that file structure has been created. So it's a very helpful little tool. So let's delete that and now try it out. All we have to do to trigger this is anywhere type new WordPress theme space space. So let's just grab anything. I could even type it without a text editor and it would activate. New WordPress theme. And you can see it creates that. And if I go back, that's been added for me. So the only final thing we want to do is we're done with Structure, so let's go ahead and close that out. So I'll go back, go to the very bottom, and we'll record and go back, activate Structure, and hit Command Q to close out of it. And now I'm done. So I'll click Record. So I'll click Edit because we're done. And let's go back and try it again. New WordPress theme. Closes that out, creates it, closes out Structure, and now we have our new theme. And all it took was about 30 seconds. Let's do one more. Let's do one of the ones that involves working in the terminal, like maybe downloading a new CI project. So you can see here, I showed you this at the beginning. This is everything that's being done behind the scenes. So there's a lot of stuff here. The primary issue, though, is when I type new CI project, we go into the terminal, and we go to our desktop, and then we use wget, and this is available on Linux machines. If you don't already have it installed on the Mac, just search for wget Mac. Yeah, you can get this one, and this will show you exactly how to install it. It'll take you 30 seconds. So what that allows you to do is you can insert a path to where a zip file is, like this, and then it'll download that file. And then we unzip it, and then we move it into our MAMP folder, and then we remove the zip file we just installed, and then we move into that new directory and open it. So we'll come back here, and by default, let's disable that one because we're going to do this one from scratch. We'll call this new CI project, and the trigger is going to be CI project space space. All right, so the first thing we have to do is record and go into the terminal. All right, now if you ever need to take breaks, you can always press record right here. Now just make sure when you do, get rid of any of these click mouses because they're not needed. So all you do right now is activate terminal. Or if you wanted, you could also just do it manually, and you could go plus, and you could say open file or URL. So click on that, and then you would choose this and manually browse. So it's just whatever you feel most comfortable with. I can be a little quicker if I choose record. So again, let's do it again. Record, open up terminal, and now we're going to go to our desktop. So I'll type cd desk, and if I press tab, it'll automatically fill that in for me, and I'll hit enter. And now we're in the desktop. At this point, we need to download CodeIgniter. So let's go in here, and if you go to codeigniter.com, you'll see that within downloads, there is a link right here. So if I copy that, and if I paste it in, that'll download that file for me. Okay, so now we're going to use that within terminal. So here, record, and go back into terminal, and I'll type wget and paste that in. But remember, that's the problem, is you can't paste it in because maybe you'll have something else copied. So go back to record, stop, and let's get rid of these 3 sections right here. And I'll come back and I'll delete everything that we have right here. So let's try it again. Record, back to terminal, wget codeigniter.com/download.php. Now what that's going to do is it's going to download all the files to my desktop. So let's press record and stop and come back, and you'll see that the CodeIgniter file has been downloaded. Okay, so the next step is to unzip it to a specific directory. So if you never know how to do these things, all you have to do is search for it. So you could say unzip to folder Mac terminal, something like that. And you can see here, here's an easy one where you can see unzip the file, and then it's going to a directory, and you paste in the path to where you want it to be unzipped to. So let's try it. Let's go back, and we'll come back here, record again, and we'll say unzip, and I'm going to type CodeIgnite, and then press tab again, and that'll fill it for me. And we're going to go to a directory, and we're going to unzip it to applications, MAMP, htdocs. And if I hit enter, you'll now see that it's unzipping. However, here it's showing that I already have that folder installed because of my example here. But in any other situation, that wouldn't be there. So I'm going to keep it as it is. So now the final step is we have to delete the zip file that we have right here. And you can do that by pressing RM in the terminal. So let's come back, and I'm going to press record again. And we'll say RM CodeIgniter, and now we're done. Press record, come back, and that's been removed. So now we just need to go in here and clean up anything. So let's get rid of this, activate terminal. We don't need this, get rid of that. Any place where you pressed record or stop, get rid of that. What else? And that should do it. Okay, so let's try it out. I'm going to press edit, and we'll come back and go into a program, any program. So I say new CI project. So the keyboard shortcut is going to be CI project space CI project. So you can see it's downloading the file right now, and as soon as that's done, it's going to unzip it, and then finally it removes the file. So if we go into our project, desktop, websites, CodeIgniter 1.7.3 has now been there. So let's do one more thing, is let's open that folder. So the way you can do that is you can browse directly to it. So I can say cd applications, MAMP, htdocs, and then CodeIgniter, and that'll open that. And then if I hit type open period, what that's going to do is it's going to open that specific folder in Finder. So let's just replicate that within Keyboard Maestro. So let's come back, edit, and we're going to do the same thing again. So we'll type cd to go back to the main directory, and we'll say cd applications, and then MAMP, and then htdocs, and then CodeIgniter, and I'll press tab to autocomplete for me. Press enter, and now we'll type open period, and that'll open that within Finder. All right, so let's try this one more time. I'm going to go back to my project and make sure that if I have anything there, we get rid of it. And let's try it again. CI project. There we go. Isn't that really cool? By typing about 8 keystrokes, it downloads the file, it unzips the file, it deletes the file, it moves it into the proper directory, and then it opens the folder, and I can simply drag it in, and I'm all set to get going. All right, so that's been a crash course in working with a program like Keyboard Maestro, or again, like I said, look for AutoHotkey if you're a PC user, or you can play around with Automator on the Mac. That's got some cool stuff as well. So let me know what you think, and if you'd like me to give you any of these macros that I have, and I have tons of them on my other computer, I'd be happy to prepare a little zip file for everyone. So I hope you enjoy this, and for more tips, tutorials, and screencasts, please subscribe to our RSS feed. I'll see you guys later. Bye.